It was supposed to be a quiet flight on a calm Easter weekend morning. Nothing extraordinary. Just another seat on another plane headed home. But by the time the wheels touched down, a young woman no one had ever heard of would become a name the world would remember. Ava Monroe was 21 years old, a nursing student from Fort Worth, Texas, with a backpack full of medical textbooks and aviation manuals, an unusual mix for someone who spent her nights studying trauma care and her spare time flying through virtual skies. She had boarded Flight 702 bound for New York to visit her parents for Easter. Her mother had been asking her to come home for months. Her father? He just sent her a text that read, "Skies are clear. Come fly home." She wore her university hoodie, jeans, and scuffed sneakers. No one gave her a second look. She was just another traveler in a sea of spring breakers, business flyers, and families lugging chocolate bunnies and carry-outs. She sat quietly at Gate 19, sipping coffee, her fingers flipping between notes on cardiac rhythm interpretation and a pause video tutorial on autopilot systems. The flight took off just past 8 a.m. The Texas landscape shrank beneath them. Ava leaned into the window, watching the clouds, a faint smile on her lips. It was peaceful, familiar. Her father had been a commercial pilot for decades. Now retired, he'd spent Ava's childhood walking her through old simulators in their garage, teaching her things most kids never learned. Trust the instruments, he'd always say. You've got the hands for it. At cruising altitude, everything seemed normal. The seatbelt sign turned off. Laughter drifted through the cabin. Drinks clinked on trays. A couple whispered over champagne. A baby cried softly in row 21. Ava was mid-sip of apple juice when the first jolt hit. It was subtle, just turbulence, people assumed. A second jolt came, stronger. Overhead bins rattled. A few murmurs rose. Still no panic. Then came the third, violent, sudden, and accompanied by a sound like tearing metal. Oxygen masks dropped. The plane tilted. A flight attendant stumbled down the aisle, pale and shaking. Ava's heart thudded. Inside the cockpit, the truth unfolded in silence. Captain Douglas Irwin gripped his chest, eyes glazed. His co-pilot, Nathan Reed, reached for him, but within moments, both were unconscious. The radio cut out. The plane drifted. The intercom crackled, once then went dead. Panic rose. Passengers shouted. A man banged on the cockpit door. Flight attendants screamed. One yelled into the phone, another cried. No one was flying the aircraft. Ava stood. Instinct overrode fear. She moved forward as if pulled by something deeper than memory. Two others followed, a doctor and a paramedic. They got the door open. Inside, chaos. The pilots, unresponsive. One barely breathing. The doctor checked vitals. The paramedic applied oxygen. "They're down," the paramedic whispered. "No one's flying this thing." Ava's hands trembled. Her mind didn't. She stepped forward. "I know how," she said. Everyone turned. The paramedic blinked. "What?" "I've flown simulators since I was 10, she said. "My dad's a pilot. He taught me. I know the systems. I've landed dozens of simulated flights." "That's not the same as flying a real plane," the doctor said. "I know, but right now I'm all we've got." They hesitated. Seconds ticked. Finally, the paramedic nodded. "Do it." Ava slipped into the captain's seat. The instruments blinked before her like old friends. She reached for the headset. "This is Flight 702, she said, voice steady. "Both pilots are unconscious. I'm a civilian with simulator training. Requesting immediate assistance." Static. Then, "Flight 702, confirm, are you saying both pilots are down?" "Yes." Pause. Then another voice. Older. Calmer. "Copy that. 702. Who am I speaking with?" "Ava Monroe." "Ava, we're here. You're not alone. Let's work together." They guided her step by step. Altitude, speed, course correction. She called out headings, adjusted flaps, monitored instruments. The plane responded. But outside, a storm was building. Rain slashed against the windows. Lightning flashed. The aircraft swayed. Wind howled. "Steady," she whispered, echoing her father's words. The descent began. Air traffic control rerouted her to a closer airport. The runway loomed in the storm like a glowing thread. "You've got this," the controller said. Ava guided the plane through the rain, her hands firm. The plane groaned, wheels extended. She adjusted trim, flaps, speed. The runway approached. And then contact. Tires screeched. The plane skidded, slowed. Silence. Then cheers erupted. Applause shook the cabin. People cried. Some stood, sobbing. Others held each other, unable to speak. Ava sat still, tears in her eyes, hands shaking. The door opened. Emergency crews rushed aboard. Pilots were wheeled out. Reporters swarmed the terminal. Passengers stared at Ava with awe and reverence. She walked down the stairs slowly. Flashbulbs lit the rain. A ground crew worker whispered, "You save them all." Ava said nothing. Her phone buzzed. She silenced it. Inside the terminal, screens lit up with headlines. Nursing student lands passenger jet. Young hero prevents disaster. Ava Monroe, America's angel in the sky. She was taken to a quiet room. She sat, staring out the window, watching raindrops slide down the glass. A white envelope arrived. No stamp, only a golden seal. Inside, a formal invitation from the President of the United States. 3 days later, she stood on the south lawn of the White House. A sea of white chairs, flags, cameras. The President stepped forward. "Today we honor not just bravery, but instinct. Not just training, but heart." He presented her with the Presidential Medal of Honor for civilian service. The crowd rose. Applause thundered. Ava approached the podium. "My name is Ava Monroe," she said. "I'm 21. I'm a nursing student. I didn't save that flight alone. There were doctors, passengers, air traffic controllers. But when the moment came, I remembered everything my dad ever taught me. And I trusted myself." The crowd was silent, then erupted again. Later, in the Rose Garden, the President handed her a leather folder. Inside, a personal letter and a donation certificate, $10 million. Ava nearly dropped it. It wasn't a reward. It was a gift. That night, she returned to her apartment. Her inbox flooded. Messages from schools, aviation companies, medical institutions. One message from a girl in Iowa read, "Thank you. Now I know what courage looks like." Ava smiled. Weeks passed. She started a foundation, Skybound Futuresto, support young women in STEM. She trained in aviation and finished her nursing degree. She did both. She didn't have to choose. One evening, she stood before a private jet, her name on the side. Donated, equipped for emergency care and training. She climbed into the cockpit, placed her hands on the controls, and whispered, "Let's see where this goes." And then she flew. Into the sky. Into history. Into everything the world never expected her to become.